¿Qué tal, comunidad? Aquí es nuestro abogado Ray Maldonado. We're going forward in English. Si está buscando español, ya está mi página. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the unbelievable privilege to have with us the amazing representative who used to be a community organizer, labor organizer. Now she works the floor and advocates for our community and continues to do so. You probably know who I'm talking about already. Haven't even said her name yet, but let's bring her on in. She needs no introduction. She's been dominating. Representative Raquel Teran, thanks so much for being with us here tonight, Representative Teran.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. And we appreciate all the work that y'all are doing for our communities and making sure that we are informed. And I said earlier that I include myself because I very often see these Facebook Lives, or I go back and see what people are saying and what you all are saying. Thank you.
No, definitely appreciate that. That's what we exist for, to be able to continue to serve the community, and I'll pass that along to the entire team. Everybody really will appreciate that. We just did the one in Spanish. Right when we got off, you read something, because the governor's on right now too. What did the governor say? That just blew my mind.
It blew my mind too. I'm rereading it. I had to ask. Somebody texted me that the governor got a question. What do you say to undocumented people? And he answered, "Wash your hands." And I think and then the text message. What I'm thinking is he probably just gave the recommendations of how to stay healthy under the CDC guidelines. So yes, it blew my mind too.
Wow.
I'm gonna I asked for a follow up, so I might interrupt to see that, but it's just
that's fine. It blows my mind that we're going through this incredible pandemic, this crisis, and the undocumented community that has done so much, not just for the state of Arizona, but for the nation, that continues to toil day in and day out, picking lettuce, working in the restaurants, working in the hotels, landscaping, roofing, you name it. And all he can say is wash your hands. How about I'm sorry that I'm failing you? How about I'm sorry that our federal government is failing you? How about I apologize for the lack of resources we're giving to those that continually give to us? Mm-hmm. He can't say anything about that. He simply says wash your hands. What an absolute embarrassment to hear that. I'm sorry for going off.
No.
It is to hear about that.
It is an embarrassment. It's the fact that he shows his privilege. He is so disconnected from what Arizona and who Arizona is. I mean, Arizona is a state of immigrants, and continue to build a state of immigrants and continue to build a state. And as a matter of fact, he's always talking about the booming economy. And I know we're going to talk about something else, but the governor, much like the president, they're always talking about the booming economy. And it astonishes me every day, because I have the privilege of representing Legislative District 30 in Central West Phoenix and Glendale. And the median income here is $29,000. So when I say that, when I repeat that on the floor or in our meetings, people will open their eyes and they don't believe it. Now they're seeing the consequences of how our communities are living, of not investing in our communities, but at the same time, they still try to pass policy that will affect people who are low income or people who are undocumented. They just there's a disconnect, huge disconnect.
No, absolutely. And you say you want to grow the economy. Well, who grows that economy? The workers that are putting in the hours, that are working hard to make sure that business can run and then create a profit, are the ones that do it. So if you want to grow your economy, when it comes to crisis, you don't take care of the workers. That's just completely ridiculous. And I know you mentioned earlier, and I just thought that the number was too astonishing to not mention again, but how much did you say this governor was asking for when he first heard about COVID-19?
Yeah, initially it was $5 million. So for us, I'm very proud of our caucus and our leadership, because they pushed back, and they were sounding the alarm. We were sounding the alarm as a Democratic caucus very early on. We have experts in our caucus. We have an emergency room doctor. We have people who have masters in healthcare. We have a trauma surgeon. So and we have common sense.
Yeah.
And we saw like what was happening. So people were talking about this, and when our leadership was meeting with our colleagues from the other side of the aisle, they did not see the urgency. And the initial ask was like to take care just in the few millions, in those 5 million. And fortunately, they fought back. Hey, we at least need 50 million. Yeah. So.
Yeah, man, an obvious lack of leadership, and I think I don't want to put words in your mouth, but do you think this essential services being so overbroad is also a lack of leadership? And if you could speak to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I'll start off with just this Monday, the governor finally gave a stay-at-home order. And obviously, I've heard it before. Nobody likes to be told to stay at the house, right? But right now, what we need is to make sure that we figure out like how do we stop this virus, and the best way of stopping this virus is by not sharing it. So the less that we go out, the better. The less that we're in big groups, the better, because it's not going to spread. So the governor a few weeks ago issued a state of emergency, and in that state of emergency, he also gave a huge list of what is considered essential businesses. And it's very, very broad, and it includes even, you can have golf courses, salons, nail shops are part of essential services, and of course you have healthcare providers. There are some essential services. I'm not going to deny that. There's construction. Some constructions might not be essential at this time. But it's so broad that it leaves this stay very ambiguous. And then at the same time, when he announced the stay, he's inviting everybody to go out and enjoy the beautiful weather. So it kind of defeats the purpose. That's why I think it's like really falls on people like you all who are making sure that our community is on the know. Myself and everybody who has a platform to continue to advocate for people to stay in the house. So we do want to see that list narrow, but at the same time, we have to just step up and say, we have to set the example. We have to hold ourselves accountable. We have to get our communities to understand the gravity of the situation, because that ambiguity does not help.
Right. No, I absolutely agree with the ambiguity in there. We were talking before. People have been messaging me nonstop, commenting on videos, saying, I do this, is it essential? And as an attorney, I go back and read the order, and pretty much every single thing that they ask, I can make an argument for. Under the order, you can still go ahead and work. And I get conflicted personally, because I do want to tell people stay at home, and I feel very privileged that I can stay at home. Our whole office switched to be able to work from home. We're completely in the cloud. Everything can work as smoothly as if we were all in the office. We're very privileged to be able to pay for those programs, to be able to stay at home, to keep paying our bills, and make that a reality. For a lot of people, someone that is a gardener, that is works in housekeeping or something, they don't have that privilege. So I want them to be able to stay home, but it pisses me off that the government says stay at home, yet they say undocumented people, you're not going to qualify for the stimulus money. Stay at home, but if you don't have a valid social, we don't care about you. It's just a huge mixed message to say, do as I say, but I'm not going to give you the resources to make that a reality. That's the part that pisses me off. I think that goes back to our failed leadership, what we started with. Governor asking for $5 million as opposed to asking for $500 million. And when he's asked about what to do, advice to the immigrant undocumented community, instead of stepping up and saying, hey, what are you guys going through, and how can we, the state, help serve and alleviate those problems? That's a lack of leadership we're talking about. So I completely agree with you on that front. And I was overjoyed to see along the lines of government not providing resources to documented community, a survey that you put out. Could you explain to us why you decided to do that and what that is?
Yeah, no, thank you. What happened is that we saw it from the state legislature. There's no relief for many people, in particular the undocumented community. There's very little relief for them. I can now almost say none. And also we're seeing no relief from the federal packages that are coming out, like trillions of dollars. There is nothing that really benefits our undocumented communities. And I mentioned earlier in the Spanish live that we did that there might be people who are also very low income that are not going to be benefiting very much from this package.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we said we need to figure out what are the priorities for our communities, what are the biggest needs, because we already know people have issues with healthcare. We know the housing. We know things, we know some of the things that we're already hearing at our offices, right? So I can't make the rent. I scared to go to the doctor, or where do I get testing? But what else? We need to know what else, so that when we are advocating either with the governor, because we can't let go, right? We can't stop fighting back. The governor with our federal delegation, the Senator Sinema, Senator Maxelli, and the 9 congressional members, we need to bring back the stories. This helps us also to put pressure on them. So that's one piece. But then the other piece is that there are foundations, there are organizations that step up to the game, and that's how it's been here in Arizona. We talk about people, just these organizations that are leading politically, and they're leading to help our community. So if it's not being done by the government, we need to figure out how we get it done, because we're going to need the need for relief is coming. This month, people were able to pay the rent because maybe they stopped working this week or last week. But what's going to happen May? We already know May is going to be a catastrophe because people will not have been working for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to me, that was just amazing to see that pop up on my feed, and I knew the rationale behind that. And I just want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for that leadership, that you stepping up and saying, what can we do? How can we continue to serve? There's a lot of great nonprofit organizations in the state of Arizona that for years have been doing amazing work. But with this new pandemic that we're facing, our community is going to have new needs. And you opening up and saying, what are those needs? And then the next step, I know from your organizing days, is going to be, how do we fill those needs and how do we share those stories? That's going to be huge, and that's going to help so many people. And I know we talked earlier about you don't have a tremendous staff to work with, but here we are doing a lot of organizing before in the past, had a lot of allies step up and help. At some point, I can imagine you needing maybe a volunteer army. Do you think that might be happening in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. We're already seeing it. Brendan Walsh from Unite Here, the hotel industry, they are suffering. One of the first industries that suffered the most was the hotel industry. Right now, they should be at 90% occupancy. Obviously, they're in the single digits right now. Our communities, a lot of our immigrant communities work in that industry, and they work really, really hard during this time of the year, because it's a peak of the year, so that when summer comes and there's not that many people that come and use our hotels, they have enough to pay their needs. Yeah. But the reason I bring them up is because we are even helping people fill out their unemployment applications. That's already something that's surfacing, making sure that people that can qualify for these for rental assistance. I'm mindful. I'm telling people that, yes, you need a social security number, either a citizen or legal permanent residence. Maybe the house is mixed. We make sure you're using those services. So we want to make sure that people are being helped with that process. So yes, there will be a call for volunteers. There always, and you can volunteer from home. If you have access to the internet, if you have a computer, you're going to be able to help in one way or another. And if it's this, it could be as direct with direct services, or it might be like we need to go into campaign mode to make sure that we're calling our members of Congress and calling other people to put pressure. So there's going to be room to get people involved.
Absolutely. I think that's going to be huge, and thank you for mentioning that. I just think it's outrageous how the undocumented community was left out. In my mind, I mean, I go to the extreme of, you're going to do a relief bill. How about you include within that a legalization program so that those who are here undocumented and are struggling can get legal status and apply for these benefits, if you don't just want to straight out give them the benefits. I know that's far-fetched and out there, but to me...
We're only limited by our imagination. I love that. There you go. That was really good, Ray.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes total sense. We are all in this together. We're one community. The virus isn't going to say you're undocumented, so I'm going to jump over you, and I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt your family. So if we're all looking out for each other at the same time, why aren't we providing all the resources to each other, regardless of what Social Security number we have or do not have? It's just ridiculous. And along that line, I know you've looked into it. Are DACA recipients eligible for unemployment insurance or unemployment program? Sorry.
Yes, they are eligible here in the state of Arizona. So they will need their Social Security number to apply for unemployment. We don't need to go through the whole process, but when you go through right now, yes, to our understanding, our research staff has let us know that yes, DACA, that's a good thing. DACA recipients.
That's wonderful news. That's really great news. I know people have reached out to me before and they said, I'm DACA, I can't get it. I said, hold on, let's find out. So I think a lot of people are very happy to hear about that. And as far as public charge analysis, USCIS has said if you do get benefits related to COVID-19, you'll be able to explain those in a letter to them. So that's kind of like a wink wink to me that they're saying not to worry about public charge when it comes to these type of benefits related to COVID-19. Representative Teran, what other kind of resources are out there for folks who might be in need of assistance right now?
So, I'm going to actually, another website that I'm going to share is, especially, I didn't share it earlier, there is a section in Spanish, but this is a very comprehensive list that the Arizona House Democrats put together. So it's arizonademocrats.com/COVID -19. We'll put it on in the box in the bottom when we're done. Yeah. Right now there's going to be, if you qualify, there's the unemployment benefits that have been extended. You don't have to prove, you have to wait 1 week for you to go and apply. They're going to waive the work search portion of this. Then, of course, I want to remind everybody that our food banks are just so amazing, stepping up to the plate, and there's a few food banks that are across the state, actually. So people that are outside of Maricopa are listening. You can go into this website and connect with the food bank closest to you. Every public school is providing the meals. Take your kid to the schools, get those meals, bring it home, make sure your kids are eating. We want to make sure that children are safe as well. And also, we know that the testing is we're behind on the testing, frankly. And we talked about this earlier in the Spanish live, that there's going to be more testing happening. That's going to it's being developed by the University of Arizona. So there's going to be an increase of testing because our own research, Arizonans are developing that. But then I encourage you also to, if you don't have the resources, to go to the doctor. That the federal healthcare centers are still open. So like Mountain Park, Adelante, those are places that are expecting people and that are welcoming people. So those are some of the resources. So on this website, once you go in, you're able to see the executive actions, but also you can see all of our departments for Arizona, from DES to unemployment, etc. One of the things I didn't mention earlier is that the utilities companies are not supposed to shut off any utilities, all right? But we do need people to make sure that they're in communication with these utility companies.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big portion that we need to reiterate to our communities. If there might be some benefits in terms of like waiting on the pay, because it's not a pardon on the pay. It's going to be an issue if this thing is done by August or whenever it's done. There will be you still have to pay. They're not saying that we're forgiving. That's what we would like, right? We said that we would like to see rent forgiveness. We would like to see utility forgiveness. They're doing it in El Salvador.
Right.
How can we not?
They got it together there, that's for sure on that.
You're supposed to have all your utilities, and just make sure that you're calling these companies. So
stay in contact with them. Great advice, Representative Teran. We got somebody here giving you a shout out, Francisca Montoya. A nice picture right there in front of City Hall, her future home.
Yeah.
Thanks, Raquel, for your leadership and compassion, but mostly for the courage to speak up and speak out and be a voice for the most vulnerable.
Thank you, Francisca.
Thank you so much, Francisca. And again, we just reiterate that, and that's what it's really amazing that we were scheduled to speak, Representative Teran, by the great Maria Castro, who's done amazing setting up our Facebook Lives, about SB 1070 today, the 10-year anniversary. Well, it so happens what's a lot more relevant right now is what you're doing today related to the COVID-19, which probably 10 years from now, let's do it again, and we can talk about all the great work that you helped put together and the organizing you did in response to the COVID-19, because right now we see a vacuum. It's just the amount of resources and services going to our undocumented community, our immigrant community is just not there. They're being forgotten, and you stepping up and saying, let's get this survey, let's figure out what the needs are, and I know your next step is going to be to implement things, and people that are watching and our allies are going to say, how can we help and follow your leadership? That's what's going to happen. Some great, amazing things are going to come out of this so we can continue to serve. So thank you so much for that. Any other information that you'd like to give out to the community related to the work that you're doing right now, or any resources that are out there in the community?
Yeah, I think visit all these websites. You know, the members of Congress are also updating their websites. You know what? You can always call our offices, the legislative offices, but you can always call your members of Congress. Members of Congress have a bigger staff. Senator Sinema has a bigger staff. They have a person specifically working on this, Congressman Stanton, and sometimes we will differ on policy, but their legislative staff are they're really good people. So let's make sure that if there's needs that we give them a call, and that we hold them accountable when the next package comes, because this CARES package is not the last package that we're going to see. So they need to continue to hear from us. I cannot remember if we already discussed it in English, but one of the things is that we need to hear from you if you are having issues with our state agencies. May it be if you're having issues when you're looking for rental assistance, or when you're seeking unemployment, when you're seeking TANF, whatever it is, if you're having issues, we need to hear from them. And I'm not saying that we're going to solve the issue right away. There's potential there. We have some constituent service, but what we need to know is are these issues happening all the time? Was this in isolation? Because that's where we can jump in and help mainstream the process so that people don't have so many barriers. And last but not least, just if please limit your going out. Leave it to the essentials, and I continue to say, you know what? It could be groceries, pharmacies, and if you must, because we understand that some people must work, just come back and follow the CDC guidelines. Wash your hands. Make sure your whole family is doing it. And I said last but not least, and it's never the last but not least.
No, keep rolling. Do it.
The other thing is, the other thing is, we need to continue to hear from you. If you're having issues with rental assistance, when you're looking for rental assistance, when you're seeking unemployment, when you're seeking TANF, whatever it is, if you're having issues when you're looking for rental assistance, when you're seeking unemployment, when you're seeking TANF, whatever it is, if you're having issues, we need to hear from them. And I'm not saying that we're going to solve the issue right away. There's potential there. We have some constituent service, but what we need to know is are these issues because we are a culture of family and togetherness and you know, the carne asadas over the weekend, we really, you know, be very, very careful with this, because you might think, oh, it's only the familia who's coming out and we're just going to gather, we're going to stay away. If we don't want anything that may be perceived as a gathering, and then calling the police to stop it now, because there's an enforcement piece to this order, and we don't want an unscrupulous police officer to abuse it, right? So avoid the large gatherings, and I am mindful that there will be homes, because we do have families that live together, right? There's two families living in one household, so that you're not violating the CDC guidelines. That's your home, right? But inviting a lot of people to having a mini quinceañera or a carne asada bautizo, I don't know, whatever it is, because I'm tempted to do it. I know it. I did just making sure that we're trying to follow as much as possible for your safety, for your health, and also to stay under the guidelines of the state.
Yeah, exactly. But you made me real hungry with multiple mentions of carne asada and those visions of the awesome party. So I can't wait to get back to those. But 100% agree with Representative Teran here. We need to stop the spread of the virus. At the same time, even though we can't physically get together with our loved ones, making sure that we're checking in on them. Amen. Because we are social beings. Human beings are social beings. And for us not to be able to be social and to be part of our extended family hurts us emotionally. Every one of us, if it doesn't hurt you, there's something wrong with you. So we need to continue to be checking in with each other, uplifting each other, and making sure that we're okay. Our parents, our brothers, sisters, cousins, everybody, and friends, to make sure that we're still in that fighting spirit, and remembering that we will come out of this, we will come through the other end, and we will see the brighter day at the end of it. And the more that we are able to stay apart, and the privilege that we have, the quicker that this virus can go away. So hopefully we can make that a reality. And I said, sorry for rambling on as well.
No, that's good.
Again, just want to give a big thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and joining us here, and for all the work that you're going to do. You can count on our office, Dr. Maldonado and myself. We're here to serve. We're here to follow that leadership, and let's make sure that all the community can be taken care of, and making sure that they can be healthy and happy as they deserve to be.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much for the invitation. Buenas noches a todos.
Buenas noches.